All right, everybody, welcome. It's Ty Hicks, Results Coach, National Influence and Leadership Trainer. I'm so excited to have you here today. If you saw my last video on 51 high performance strategies, I think you're really going to enjoy what we're talking about today. And if you didn't see that, you may want to go back and check it out because it should be in your inbox. But regardless, what I wanted to do today was talk to you about productivity, because I know that if you and I are meeting each other and if you're watching this and you got to know me somewhere, somehow, chances are you're trying to improve this area of your life and probably a few others, but I would venture to say that this is one of the ones that you've really decided that you need to make a change in immediately. And thankfully, it's one of the ones that we can most easily make some rapid improvements on very quickly. So I'm here to show you 10 strategies that, if used consistently and in combination, could quite literally 10x your productivity. Now that's a big fat claim, okay? Hopefully I've got you, hooked. Hopefully I've got your attention. We'll see what you think at the end of this, but I think what you're going to see is the cumulative power of these strategies being applied consistently, okay? Consistently being a key word here over time will literally transform how you are productive and how you navigate your work, okay? And we're going to talk a lot about exactly how you prioritize the important things and how you make it a fun process, believe it or not. If you're currently feeling like your work is a drag, you're not feeling excited about what you do, then you're in the right spot, because I guarantee if you're able to utilize even just some of these strategies, I understand you're not going to probably use all of them all the time. That's fine. I wanted to give you 10 so that you have some options and so you can figure out what works best for you, okay? So let's dive into this and have some fun with it. Really quickly, just a little background in case we're meeting for the very first time. I think it's important you understand who I am from a training perspective. The reason I'm talking to you today is because I'm so passionate about helping people get out of their own way and live their best life. And my real mission is to help people master their personal psychology so that they can close the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. And that comes because, when I was 13 years old, I was suicidal in a very serious way. I spent some time in the hospital for this, nearly killed myself, and thankfully I had a loving family member who, was able to intervene. But it was a very, very rough period of my life. And I share that with you because what that period of time showed me in my life was exactly how powerful our brains can be if we don't know how to use them, if we don't understand what they're doing, if we don't understand kind of how these invisible patterns can affect us. And I made it my life's mission to understand them and apply that knowledge to help people, okay? And so that's why I'm here talking to you today. So I serve people all the way from helping them be better at work and be more productive, as well as I deal with individuals who are suicidal, depressed, schizophrenic, or their marriage is on the rocks, and they need the intervention and the skills that's going to help them actually go the distance. So that's my real passion. That gave me a second lease on life. Honestly, I went on to build a multi-million-dollar organization in my early 20s, and I've been a keynote trainer on the subjects of influence, persuasion, leadership. Throughout the country, I've trained or coached directly over 60,000 individuals. So I'm incredibly blessed by all the people I've worked with, and it's been a fantastic ride. As I mentioned to you, my real mission is to help over 1 million people reach what I call personal freedom, personal psychological freedom in their life, as well as I also want to help over 10,000 refugees reach real political freedom as well. So I'm currently raising funds for North Korean refugees to escape their oppressive regime and create a new life in freedom somewhere else in the world. So hopefully we might have the chance to work together on a humanitarian basis one day as well. All right, so let's dive in right now into the strategies. 10 strategies that could 10x your productivity is the promise of today's webinar. So number one, this is a very, very powerful one, and it's probably one of the ones that you're not going to want to do right away because it's a little unique. It's a little out there, so to speak, but there is a real science behind this. This is backed by neuroscience. I'm telling you, it's one of the most powerful strategies out there. So here's what you need to do. Before you go to work, okay, my recommendation is right when you wake up. If you work out in the morning, that's great. Do this right after your workout, or do it first thing when you wake up. But what you need to do is you need to carve out a sacred segment of time where you're going to literally prime your emotional state. You're going to cultivate an emotional state of gratitude, ambition, and you're going to visualize your day coming to fruition in the most perfect way it could possibly do, right? It could possibly be, okay? So what I mean is, you want to get into a state where you're calm, you're serene, maybe do some mindful breathing if you like, that's great. But really what you want to do is you want to concentrate on a memory that makes you feel grateful, okay? So when you think of that and you focus on all the little details, all of a sudden the feeling of gratitude should flood your nervous system. And what this is doing is waking up your body, waking up your mind, and literally opening up new neural activity centers in the brain so that you're going to be able to have more emotional resources at your disposal for the day. Now, the next thing that you're going to do once you've done this is you're going to visualize your day going as how you would want it to go, right? So maybe it's, you're visualizing that meeting that you have today going exactly how you want it to go. You're visualizing that sale, closing up how you were expecting it to, right? The whole point here is for you to literally wake up your nervous system so that as you navigate through the day, it is literally now going to be that much more aware and on edge in the best sense of the word to be able to help serve you. It's going to be on the lookout for anything that could help get you closer to what you have signaled to it in the morning is very, very important. So if you're curious about the neuroscience behind this, there's part of the brain right back here called the RAS, Reticular Activation System. So when you flood your body with a positive emotion and you visualize something that you want, like that sale meeting coming together the way you need it to, you literally get your nervous system that much more attuned to helping you create that reality. Okay, so it might seem a little out there, but I'm telling you, it works. And if you do this consistently, you have absolutely no idea how powerful it will be over time, I promise you. So number one, you need to prime yourself. Now, if you do exercise in the morning, that's great too. There's all the science in the world, all the studies in the world that show that individuals who do some sort of purposeful priming exercise in the morning, as opposed to just going right into their work routine, they're significantly more productive and they're happier as they're doing their work throughout the day. And that's part of what we're going for as well. Okay? That's number one. Very, very powerful. Use it. Number two, prune your bush. Okay, so what I mean by prune your bush is you need to take a good hard look at what you currently have on your plate. And if there are things that are on your plate that are just creating busy work but are not helping you contribute to your life's work, then it's time to get rid of them. If you want to be a master of productivity, what you've got to be able to do is to become a master at saying the word no. Okay, when somebody brings something to you, you see a potential, as I like to call it, a shiny object that distracts you and that you want to go and pursue, you've got to be able to have the conscious blinders on that says, wait a minute, does this help me get closer to where I've told myself I'm committed to going? No, it doesn't, therefore I'm not going to do it. And what you're going to realize when you start to get really good at this is you're going to realize probably 99 out of 100 things that might, present themselves to you as potential pursuits of your focus are not deserving of it. So you're going to be saying no a lot more than you're going to be saying yes if you're doing this correctly. Now, the reason I say prune your bush, it's kind of like a prune your rose bush metaphor. So I don't know if you've gardened before, but what you want to do here is liken your productivity and your focus, the things you have on your plate, to pruning a rose bush, or frankly, any bush you would have in a garden. Now, the point here is that if you leave a rose bush untended, then it's not going to grow as large as it could possibly be. But instead, if you consciously direct it, if you cut off all the little random ends that are, jutting out in specific areas, then what will happen is the rose bush will become as large and as beautiful as it possibly could be. So it's a very, very powerful thing for you to do, and you've got to make sure that you understand that being productive is not equivalent to being busy. That's one of the big takeaways I need you to get here today, is you are not some sort of, guru and, beast of business because you take on everything. That's not what the most successful people in the world do. In fact, they eliminate everything until they get down to the absolute main thing that they need to be focusing on. It's a very important exercise for you to do. Now, similarly, how you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, Ty, how am I going to do that? There's not many things that I can prune away because I'm the only one that can do them. Well, That's not really true, I guarantee. Guaranteed, there are things on your plate right now that you can delegate elsewhere. First of all, you need to just get rid of the things that no one should be doing. There are things you're doing right now that no one should be doing. Get rid of those first. Second, look at the things that you're doing that are important that somebody else can do, and now you need to delegate those out as much as possible. There's a quote that I kind of live by where, it says that perfection is not when there is nothing left to be added, but rather when there is nothing left to be taken away. And that's kind of the spirit of what we're going for here, is to get your limited focus to the very, very important work that only you could do. That's what we're going for. So figure out what you can delegate. Now you might be thinking, okay, well there's things that I'd love to delegate, but I just can't trust that somebody else is going to do it the way that I need it done. Okay, great. That's a valuable conversation for us to have. So what you need to do is figure out, well, wait a minute, what is the skill gap that that person has? What is it that they need to know in order for them to be able to take on what you need them to take on? Because now you can help them grow in that regard. So here's the kind of philosophy that I approached my company with. I looked at all the things that I was doing that I felt nobody else could do. And as I started to hire team members, what I started to ask myself was, wait a minute. Even if it would take me 2 hours to train somebody on how to do this, wouldn't that be worth it because it would save me all of the remaining hours of having to do it again myself? So what I started to do is, even though it might have only taken me 20 minutes, I took the 2 hours to train somebody on how to do it because I was investing in my time and my focus and my productivity long term. And you need to start thinking of your time like you think of your money. And hopefully you're investing your money as well. So you need to be investing your time. So sometimes a greater time expenditure up front does make sense if it's going to free up more time for you later on. Okay, that's kind of what we're going for here as well. So determine what you can delegate, even if some training might be involved. And by the way, you might feel bad about delegating. You might be thinking, well, I don't want to just pawn things off on other people. Well, listen, there are things that you're doing right now that could be immensely valuable growth opportunities for other individuals. And you might not look at it because in your mind you're thinking, this is a mundane task that I'm so used to and I don't even want to do it. Who would want to do this? The reality is there are literally people out there who would love to do the things that you're doing. You just haven't shown them how to do it. So you need to show them how to do it. And that will become a valuable growth experience for them and it will free up time for you. Win-win. All right, very powerful. Can you see how this all starts to come together really powerfully? I think you will. All right, number 4. Now this is a tough one, but we need to get you on a distraction detox. We need you to specifically block all of the distractions you could possibly do. So let me give you some tips. First of all, you need to get rid of your social media distractions. Now I'm not saying you need to just delete your social media, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you need to not just allow your focus to randomly fleet to social media or whatever other distraction junkie type things that you have randomly. That's where you're losing so much of your time. Did you know that the average American worker only spends 4 hours a day doing actual valuable work? The rest of their time is spent either in distraction mode or their productivity is dramatically reduced because they have what's called attention residue. So what happens is when you're distracted by something and then you try to switch your focus back to the thing you need to be doing, you have attention residue, meaning that part of your brain is still thinking about what you were just doing. So what we've got to be able to do, if you want to understand how your brain works and if you want to truly be as maximally productive as possible, you need to understand multitasking is a freaking myth. It's just not real. It's not true. Now, what you could do is you could zero in on one task, get it done in 2 minutes, and then zero in on the next task. Okay, so you might be able to completely obliterate a large number of tasks in a short period of time. That might be true. But doing multiple tasks at multiple times is something that's been debunked many, many times. Okay, at best what you're doing is you're rapidly fleeting your attention from one area to another area, and that's not a very helpful strategy. Okay, first of all, it's stressful. It will literally make you more anxious as opposed to zeroing in on one thing, getting it done, getting the victory, getting the sense of accomplishment, and then moving on to the next one. That's what you want to go for, okay? It's a very powerful thing. Now, let's talk concretely about how you block these distractions. Number 1, you need to get a newsfeed blocker up. I've had this for about a year. it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Because I do need to use Facebook for my business sometimes. I do need to pull it up. Sometimes I need to message somebody, manage my page, or whatever it is that I need to do. So I need to use the site. But you've probably done this before too. You get on Facebook because you need to look something up or do something kind of legitimate. And then all of a sudden you see a puppy pic in your news feed, and then all of a sudden you're lifting your head up from your screen 15 minutes later going, what the hell happened? And what happened is you literally fell down a click hole. Okay, now you can't really help it. It's just that your brain literally gets distracted, and then all of a sudden it goes from distraction to distraction, and then your day has been destroyed, and you produced only 4 hours worth of work, and you go home stressed, and you don't know why you have no sense of accomplishment. Well, that's why. So here's what you need to do. Create a newsfeed blocker. So there's Google Chrome extensions. I know, I'm sure you can do it on other browsers as well, but you need to just block it. And the best of these, you can opt to have your news feed shown for a period of time, but you can also, block it and limit it. And so that way it just literally removes that as a possibility. That's what you need to do. Now you might be thinking, well, okay, Ty, you know what? I don't think I need to do that. I think I just need to be more conscientious with my social media. Okay, I'm glad you're thinking that way, but here's what I'm telling you. If you put crack in front of a crack addict, they're gonna smoke the crack, okay? So you need to just literally take the crack in another room, just not even have it as an option in order for you to get clean and detox, all right? So block that newsfeed. I'm telling you, it's a way to set yourself up to win, and then it won't even be there. You need to, I know also iPhone right now is showing you your screen time. You're able to see how much screen time you're using. If that's not scaring the crap out of you, then it should. So get mindful about how much time you're spending on your screens. Now, there's a couple other things that you can do. For one, I do not have my email alerts go to my phone, or my social media alerts, or anything that is not a phone call or a text message. Okay, you might be thinking, whoa, Ty, there's no way I could possibly do that. I have way too much going on. People need me. I'm a very important guy. That's what you might be saying to yourself. Okay, well, let me tell you something very real. We need to have a heart-to-heart moment here, okay? The most important people in the world, the most successful people in the world, do not allow their agenda to be dictated by the demands of others. They set up their unique agenda to fulfill their needs and to produce the work that they need to do first and foremost. And whatever other people need falls into dedicated reactionary periods of time that they have specified they are willing to have. But if you are waking up and viewing your notifications, then you have joined the masses that are not reaching that higher level of success. Okay, and if you doubt what I'm saying, this is not just an opinion. Look up the scientific studies they have on people who check their notifications first thing in the morning. Okay, they're not as productive, they're more stressed out, and they are not the highest earning people in the country. Okay, the people who instead block those distractions and set an intentional agenda for their day are the ones who are maximally productive, as we're going to see. So block your distractions. Lastly, there's another concrete tool you can use. It's literally called Freedom. It's a site blocker. So you can create a session where you put distinct sites in there that completely make it impossible for you to access them during that period of time. It's a fantastic tool. Try that out. All right. On the subject of clearing notifications, as I mentioned to you, I do not get my notifications to my phone. I only review my notifications at predetermined blocks of time, and I do this at most twice a day, usually once a day, just once a day. And by the way, I've been in charge of a $5 million organization. You might be thinking, well, Ty, there's no way I could just clear my notifications once a day. I guarantee you can. I guarantee you can. Because look, some things will literally get resolved without you having to be involved in them. And people will also get accustomed to your style. People will get accustomed to your pace. And here's the other thing that you're not thinking about. The reason why your time and your schedule is completely flooded with responding to random notifications is because you don't prioritize getting the real work done. Hear me very clearly on this. The reason that your time is left to randomness is because you're not prioritizing getting the important work done. That is to say that if you were to carve out specific periods of time for you to just zero in on the most important work possible, you would have no reason to have the notifications, because very often the notifications are just checkups to see if the important work has gotten done. So if you're getting the important work done, there's literally less need for notifications in the first place. So it's a very brilliant thing once you start to get this working together. So what I recommend is you get on a cycle of no more frequently than twice a day. You want to do this in batches. The reason why you want to do this is because there is a very real thing called attention residue. I mentioned this a moment ago. But when you go from email to task to email to task to email, what's happening is you think you're focused on the task, but in fact, part of your brain is still thinking about the email. And so you're not really zeroed in. You're not in that place of what we call deep work. And so that's a problem, because if you really want to, first of all, get more things done, that in itself is valuable. But number two, if you just want to feel more successful, if you want to feel better about your work, if you want to get that sense of accomplishment, which I know you do, then you've got to be able to more clearly compartmentalize how you spend your time. That's a very important thing. All right, do not check your notifications in the day as well. All right, here's the question that you need to start asking yourself on a regular basis. What is the most important thing for me to be doing for my business or for my life? Okay, that's what you need to ask yourself. Because what you will find is that the answer is almost always not answering email. And that's how most people spend their time. They just get into their inbox, that's how they spend their days, and it's not valuable. What you need to be doing is asking yourself, what's the most valuable thing for me to be spending my time on? And that will dictate a completely different strategy for you. You will spend your time in a completely different way. So even though you have tasks that seem more urgent and seem like you need to get on those more quickly, it's not necessarily the case. You need to be able to cut away the noise, cut away the clutter, and say, what do I need to prioritize above all else right now? Okay, because if you constantly feel like you're just putting out fires, you're going to be stressed out as all hell, and you're not going to feel fulfilled, and you're not going to move your career forward. That's just the reality. All right, next. What you want to do after you've done your morning ritual of visualizing your day going, kind of as perfectly as it could possibly go, is you want to detail now what are the specific outcomes you are committed to for that day. I recommend you zeroing in on no more than 3. There's also a caveat to the strategy, not a caveat, but a different way to approach it. And what you could do is you could literally intentionally design your entire day. Like, what blocks of time are you going to allocate to this, where are you going to fit in those 2 spots where you respond to your emails and react, and what are the specific outcomes you're committed to by the end of the day. So once you've clarified the outcomes, that will define for you how you're going to be blocking up your time into sacred time segments. And that, my friend, is the next level that you need to be going for. If you want to truly feel maximally productive, if you want to feel every day like you are moving your life forward and you are creating real progress tangibly, and if you want to go to bed at night feeling like the joyous master of your life, like you are in control of your own world, this is what you need to do. You need to schedule every minute of every day. Now, okay, I'm not saying, let me be careful about this. I'm not saying schedule every minute, okay, in 1 minute increments. But what I am saying is you need to block your time up into specific, maybe by the hour, maybe you have like a 3-hour block here for whatever. It's going to be different each day. That's clear. But if you're not intentionally designing your day, then your day is going to just simply be demanded by other people's agendas. And that's why you're not feeling successful. That's why you're not successful, at least as successful as you'd want to be. And that's why you're stressed. So you need to do this. I'm telling you. It might seem over the top, but you do this one day, I promise you will do it every single day for the rest of your life. All right, number 9. You need to journal your activity for a week is what I recommend. Now, this is not something you'll do in perpetuity, but it's something I highly recommend you do this week. Now, why do I recommend you do this? Because if you want to get accustomed to how you're wasting your time, if you want to identify what those really concrete areas are for you to be able to start saving time, you need to bring an extra layer of awareness to what your regular activities are so that you don't just fall into your activities and go through your life, kind of unintentionally, but instead for you to be able to bring awareness to it. That's the first step in modifying any habit. So if you start journaling your activity on a basic level, what you might actually find is, holy cow, I just spent 10 minutes bullshitting with my team members, out at the water cooler. That's not useful, right? That might be a thing that you notice you do on a regular basis. Maybe you notice you just get up from your desk and walk to the bathroom even when you don't even have to go to the bathroom because you're just distracted, okay? And you just want something to do. So journaling the activity is a great way for you to be able to become conscious and change the activity. Let me give you a concrete example of how this activity becomes useful. Now, this is not in the vein of productivity, but this is a great strategy if you want to become more healthy. If you want to become more healthy, what you should do is for a week, photograph every meal right before you eat it. Now, some of you might be doing this already with Instagram, but you're probably not photographing every meal. You're probably only photographing those trendy, healthy meals that you want people to see that you're eating. Photograph every meal before you eat it. They did a study on this, and what they found was the individuals who photographed every meal were significantly more likely to stay accustomed to their diet over time. And the reason is that when you've got that Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme and you take a picture of it, all of a sudden you realize, holy cow, I'm about to put this in my body. And that extra layer of awareness now gives you the willpower to go, no, I'm not, and to put it aside. So in the same way, you bringing an extra layer of awareness to your activity for the week by doing a simple little journal is going to allow you to easily pinpoint those specific areas where you're wasting time and for you to be able to turn those around very quickly. It's a very powerful exercise. Give it a shot, okay? Just try it for a day. All right, finally, number 10. Now this one's very, very powerful, and it might scare you at first, but I'm telling you, if you want to go to that next level, if you literally want to, at the end of a week, go, holy cow, I produced more. I produced 10 times this week what I did the past week, then this is going to be one of the ways you do it. What you want to do is you want to send a full transparency report to whoever your boss is. And what you want to do is you want to create a daily report for them that clearly identifies what the outcomes were. Now, do not give them excuses, rationalizations, or explanations. You need to give them the bullet points of what the hell you actually accomplished and put it in terms of real outcomes that they care about. So for example, if your job was to connect with 10 leads and you made 150 calls and you got 7 leads, they don't care how many calls you made. They care how many leads you got connected with, because that was the outcome you were expected to produce. Okay, now what's really powerful, what's really, really, really powerful is for you to specify what those outcomes are in the morning, send those to your boss, and then give a report at the end of the day. Now you might be scared shitless at that idea, and if you are, that tells me, and it should tell you, that you're wasting a whole hell of a lot of your time. All right, so if you start to use these strategies, you will actually become a productivity machine. You will literally get people going, how the hell are you getting this much stuff done? Oh, well, I'm not dicking around on Facebook. I'm actually focusing and designing how I spend my time. I'm spending my time like I spend my money, wisely and in areas that make an investment for me, right? If you get into that kind of psychology, your life changes by leaps and bounds, by multipliers, okay? Use these strategies, I'm telling you, use them together, and your productivity will soar through the roof. Now, I've got another video of some strategies coming to you. If you found this valuable, then I know you'll love the next one. Next one is going to be on how to tangibly increase your willpower. Believe it or not, your willpower is like a muscle. It's limited, but it can be strengthened. And I'm going to give you 5 concrete ways for you to do that so that you can start stepping up and doing the things you actually tell yourself you're going to do, but you keep falling back into old habits on. Okay, it's a very, very powerful training. So I'm excited to see you in the next one. I hope this was valuable. 10 strategies to 10x your productivity. Go out there this week and 10x your productivity. I'm so excited to see you in the next one. Take care.